Robots Radio presents
Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast.
I'm not usually a hat fan, but wow.
Jeg vil ikke være en dagger.
I'm really sipping on that dumb bitch juice today, and
Yeah, I am. But you know what? Someday I just might grow out of that. But you will never stop being a jerk.
All chocolate cakes are good. You're a fascist.
it's hideous.
It's horrible.
It's home. Angry white boy, let's go! Hello, and welcome to Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast. The plucky white boy who's gonna fail his way upward. That's Chad Ekowitz.
That's Simone LaRue. Good lord. I did not know where you were going with that. And holy crap, you were right. Unbelievable. Is that not just every fantasy movie of all time?
You know, I think that's why we started like getting more into fantasy that wasn't written by mediocre white men.
Yeah. I think we were tired of it by the early 2000s as the two movies that we're going to be doing today do show.
Point.
Yeah. We've had centuries of it. Let's shake it up a little bit.
I mean, The Witcher was also written by a very grumpy old man, but at least he knows he's grumpy.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that really translates well into Geralt's character, to be fair.
Just slutty, grumpy Geralt.
Oh, that's so great. I would love that. You know, when in like interviews and things, they're like, give us 2 words to describe you. I would love it to be slutty and grumpy.
Slutty and grumpy. Honestly, I want that on a t-shirt.
Right? That'd be so good. Right. So if you guys haven't guessed by now what we're doing, we are doing fantasy action movies. And also, technically, because of the movies that we chose, a Jeremy Irons week, kind of turns out.
Jeremy Irons plus dragons.
Jeremy Irons plus Dragons Week. This is the longest title of all time.
This is a very specific week, yes.
Very, very specific week. So we will be doing Dungeons and Dragons and Eragon, which is, oh boy.
A movie, an adaptation of a book.
Yes, it is. So Simone, before we get into all of the business, what is your like favorite fantasy, like book, movie, doesn't matter, like what is the go-to
tough.
for you?
It
is tough.
Why don't you just ask me to pick my favorite child?
Well, it would obviously be the bespectacled one.
I obviously like Tolkien is the king because it's I loved The Hobbit when I was a kid. And obviously I loved the Lord of the Rings movies. I also liked Pirates of the Caribbean, which isn't high fantasy, but it definitely is fantasy.
Absolutely.
At the moment, obviously enjoying The Witcher quite a lot.
Yes. How much further are you in the games, or haven't you been able to play in a while? We're not going to talk about that.
I'm out of Skellige, if that means anything to anyone.
As far as I'm aware, that's pretty far. You know, for adults who do not game a lot, that is far. Like, good on you.
Thanks. Let's see. Obviously, like Princess Bride, does that count?
Yes, because like it's technically fantasy because it's like politics meets, you know, made up places. Yeah.
Meets true love. I don't know. I like fantasy so much. It's like
very hard.
One of the best genres out there.
Yeah, it's very hard to pick.
Yeah. What about you? Do you have an answer locked and loaded?
No, I really don't. I mean, the only one that you haven't said, because I agree with literally everything that you've said there, like Lord of the Rings, spectacular. Hobbit, great. The only one that I'm thinking that you haven't mentioned, and I'm debating whether it does fall into the realm of fantasy, is American Gods, Neil Gaiman, because it's technically like, you know, it's gods and stuff.
I think that definitely.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, a lot of Neil Gaiman stuff.
Exactly. It's very sort of fantastical. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then of course, it just popped into my head. It's more of a joke answer than anything, but Shrek, right? That is high fantasy. It's dragons, it's fighting.
Yeah. No, you're right. I'm mad, but you're right.
Shrek, fantasy genre. Interesting take. Yes. So Simone, let's see who goes first. What are you drinking this afternoon?
I got a little wild yesterday, so I'm taking it very easy today because I value my liver a little bit. So I'm just having my lockdown special, which,
Oh yeah.
as you'll recall, was homemade lemonade with some bitters in.
Ah, lovely, lovely.
Mm.
You know, to harken back to, would we call it simpler times or more
I
horrific times?
I wouldn't. Yeah, it's a time I certainly try not to reflect on too
Good
often.
plan. Good plan. It'll be very much that trauma that lives with us all forever. We
Just
just
that
don't
year we
deal with
shall
it.
not name.
Yeah. This is 2020 again, but like the better
Mm.
version, like the
Yeah,
one that
yeah,
we're okay with.
yeah.
Yeah.
The one we deserve. I remember seeing like someone tweeted they were like, yeah, I totally get why like there weren't any there's not a bunch of movies and literature about the Spanish flu and stuff because like of course no one wants to relive that shit.
Yeah, exactly. You're so very right. And I think this will be a very interesting take because obviously there are some movies now that have come
Mm.
out that like quarantine based, and we'll see how well those sort of get, you know, sectioned into the annals of
I
time, I think.
already don't want to watch it.
Like I do not like I have no interest in going on those things, and like, you know, there's that one action movie that we saw, like what's it called, like
Oh,
Song
with Anne
Flight, Songbird.
Hathaway.
No, the other one where like
Oh,
with
oh God, that
the
other
evil
one that
guy.
was even worse. Yeah,
Yeah,
Songbird.
yeah, Songbird. Ooh, yeah. Like, let's not. Like, let's just, you
Can we
know,
please,
yeah,
guys?
let's avoid it. If any of our listeners ever watch it, please do tell us how it is, because
We're probably gonna have to do a pandemic episode at some
don't
point, Chad. So
don't curse us like that. Don't do it.
just because it's the truth.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong as you know angrily sip your drink.
What are you drinking?
Well, as our YouTube listeners can see, I have matched your orangey color because I
Yeah.
am drinking orange blood orange gin with Sprite.
Oh, yum.
It's
Oh,
so
that's a
good.
lot of gin.
It's, to be fair, it's mixed with Sprite, so you know,
Oh, okay.
I would say it's
I thought it was
about.
like pure gin, and I was like, is Chad okay?
Oh, I'm gonna get lit. I've got 1 week before I start my job, and it's just gonna be the most destructive week of my life. I'm gonna age
Sure.
30 years
You
in this
gotta
week.
break yourself all the way back down to build
Uh-huh.
yourself back up. I get you.
Exactly. Yeah, you understand. You know where my mind is.
Mm.
But no, it is a responsible level of gin. I would say maybe like half a finger's worth of gin, and then the rest is Sprite.
Okay,
So there you
fair
go.
enough. Yeah,
So-
that is a responsible amount of gin.
Yeah. So I guess I go first because it's gin
Yes.
versus bitters, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Anyway, yeah, let's get Eragon out of the way anyway.
Yeah, I'd rather we just like shit on this movie because I low-key love Dungeons and Dragons, so I'm ready. Oh yay! I thought you were gonna hate it. I'm so glad you liked it. Fucking
I've got a lot
yes.
of
Okay.
feelings, but yeah, no,
Excellent.
I had fun.
I'm so glad you liked it. Excellent. Okay, let's do this. Let's get Aragon out of the way fast as possible. All right, here we go. Back in the before times, the land of Alagasia was a place of peace and prosperity. This was all due to the Dragon Riders, a group of men and women who kept the peace with the help of their dragons. This was until Galbatorix,
Galbatorix.
thank you, played by John Malkovich, one of the Dragon Riders turned on the others, slaughtering the others with the help of a few fellow turncoats. Now he rules the land with an iron fist, enforcing his rule with malice and ensuring that any defectors or resistance is stamped out quickly and with great prejudice. Our story begins with Arya, played by Sienna Gailori, who is,
With names today.
I don't know, I'm having a difficult name day. It's one of those days. Gailori, who is on the run from Galbatorix's men, who are led by a shade or dark wizard named Durza, played by Robert Carlyle. She is carrying a very important stone that is a key to the Resistance's plan. Arya is running through the forest when she is captured by Durza and his men. But before they can get to the stone, a young farm boy by the name of Eragon, played by Ed Spaliers, is able to pick it up and hide it from Galbatorix's men. Eragon returns to his village and hides the stone and goes about his business. That's when he meets Brom, played by Jeremy Irons. Brom seems like a complete lowlife, but he constantly challenges Galbatorix's men and seems to want to fight for justice and honor. Brom also speaks about the before times and about the Dragon Riders, and Eragon really likes this kind of talk. A day or so later, Eragon is looking at the stone when suddenly it starts to move. The outer surface starts to crack. That's when he realizes it's not a stone at all, but in fact an egg. When it hatches, he has no idea what it is, but after some conversations with Brom, he realizes it's a dragon. After torturing
What the fuck
Arya,
else would it be, Eragon?
right?
What the fuck else?
Jesus. I mean,
Okay, sorry. You know
okay.
what? Get through the synopsis. Get through the
Yeah.
synopsis. I'm sorry.
I'm as mad as you are. There are lots of things that I want to pick apart on this, so it's gonna be a rage. So let's barrel through. Okay. So after torturing Arya, Durza learns that the egg is now in Eragon's possession. So he sends out some of his men to go and kill Eragon. The men go to his uncle's farm looking for him, but Eragon isn't there because he's out with his dragon. So they slaughter his uncle. Eragon is upset as heck, but Brom consoles him by setting the whole farm on fire. Eragon then reveals to Brom that he has a dragon. Brom realizes that Eragon is the last hope for the free people of Alagasia, and that he must take Eragon to the Resistance, a group called the Vada. On their journey, Brom also teaches Eragon how to train his dragon and how to fight. During the journey, Eragon switches between being the reluctant hero and the overconfident hero, all of which is pretty hard to watch. This is until one night when Arya visits Eragon in his dreams, begging him for help and telling him where to find her. She's being kept in Durza's castle, and she begs him to come and rescue her. When he awakes, he tells Brom, and Brom's like, fuck no, that's in the other direction to the Vada, and it's also most certainly a trap. Eragon is recalcitrant and decides to do what he wants to do anyway. So he goes off to say,
recalcitrant.
I know, I'm trying to up everyone's vocabulary.
Get your SAT words in there.
Exactly. I'm going for those LSATs big time. So he goes off to save Arya. Turns out Brom was right, and it was a trap. As Durza was about to kill Eragon, Brom jumps in the way and gets stabbed by a spear. He dies, and Eragon promises to avenge him. He fires an arrow into Durza's head, but then later learns that the only way to kill a Shade is by piercing his heart. So Eragon and Arya travel to the Vada, they win their trust, and get ready for the big final battle against Durza and his army. After a long struggle, the Vada win, and Eragon is able to kill Durza. However, Eragon's dragon is badly hurt during the battle. Eragon tries to heal her with magic, and it almost kills him. But it doesn't, and the dragon is all healed up and safe. Now, Galbatorix is super mad and says he's going to finish the job off himself. That's when his dragon is revealed. The end.
The end. Chad, what is your cliffhanger?
I think for me, it has to be this one, and it is the most frustrating scene on the planet. And it's the one where Brom is like, "No, don't go save Arya. It's a trap. You need to come to the Vada."
So clearly a trap, my guy.
Like, oh my god! And he's just like, "No, I'm gonna do what I want. I'm the dragon rider, and I decide what goes on." And I'm just like, "Okay, dude, shut the fuck up. I hate you so much."
So I tried to go into this with a very open heart because I remember I read the books as a kid. The books are also like, I don't want to shit on the source material too much because I don't know if you know this, but the author, Christopher Paolini, he actually wrote the books when he was 15 and self-published when he was 19. So it's like, you know, like what the fuck have I done? You know?
I get you. Yeah.
Like, so I don't want to like shit on it too much, but it is also very clear that a 15-year-old boy who loves fantasy wrote this, and that's okay.
Yes, but we can't expect it to be anything bigger than that, right? And yeah, I completely agree with you. And there are so many things that just don't make sense when you're watching this movie. Now, I've never read the book, so I didn't know sort of like what was made up and what is canon. But like the whole relationship between the dragon and the dragon rider makes very little sense to me because, you know, this dragon has been waiting thousands of years to meet Eragon. Eragon is going to live 70, 80 years at a push. And then when he dies...
they get longer lives because of dragon magic.
Because of dragon magic. We love dragon magic. Okay. Because I was going to say, like, otherwise, that's a pretty shitty thing. Like, the dragon's going to live 80 years because, like, their lives are tied to the human's life.
Yeah.
Also,
look,
again...
it's a rigged system.
Yeah, like what if the person just gets like sick, gets like TB or, you know, a random aneurysm? Yeah. So that like, yeah. So I get you. Like you got to come in with this with an open mind, but even if you do, it is very hard to keep going through it.
It's a rough watch. It's like Eragon's a big dum-dum.
Yes, he's the worst. Yes.
And shit just comes so easily to him. Like this dragon egg hatches and he's like so dumb about it. He's like, oh, what do I do? And Brahm's like, okay, here's what you fucking do. And then he like just figures out magic. And Brahm keeps being like, this takes years of study and training.
Yeah.
And Eragon's like, oh, what's the word for this? And then he just does the magic. And it's infuriating. And then every time someone new encounters Eragon, they're like, oh, you're just a child. And he's like really upset about it. But it's like, yeah, my guy, if I had met the one who was supposed to save the Empire and it was like this dumbass kid, I'd also be like, oh.
Yeah, you would be disappointed because you would want him to be more. Like, it makes no sense. And like, I understand why he would be mad about it. Like, it's very many, like, it's a microaggression.
It's a lot of people going, oh.
Yeah, when you show up. But like, then again, he does inspire that because he is such a baby. And then like, I think that's what really annoyed me about this movie is because he kept flip-flopping between, you know, the overconfident one, like, oh, I can do anything, I could have taken them. And then like at one point he literally says the words, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not ready to be a hero. And it's just like, okay, pick one, my brother. Buddy. Yeah.
Like this is not good character growth at all. If I recall, obviously, I think the book was a little bit better. Obviously, this is like always the problem, right? With trying to adapt a fantasy book into a movie is you have to cut out a lot of world building and character building, and just like sort of skip scene to scene really quick. Like I try to be understanding about that, but like I also my understanding is that the guy that they cast as Eragon, like he'd never acted before.
Oh,
he was like plucked from obscurity, which is a strange move. Like I understand casting someone who's relatively unknown because like, you know, then you're not projecting previous characters onto them or whatever. Like I get that, but like maybe pick someone from with an acting background.
Someone with an acting background or like who has done really minimal obscure things. Because I mean, you know, like
done a couple indie films.
Yeah, like Jennifer Lawrence, she had done a couple things before she did the Hunger Games. Thank you. And you know, it was the fact like, you know, we didn't know her, like she wasn't a household name, but like you could tell that she's been in this business for a while. Where this guy, I don't know, he just not great. Like
and they keep doing these like close-up shots on his face, like, you know, I guess that's what the director wanted, but he's like not acting in those close-up shots. It's just his face.
He's just his face, like, cool, okay, this is fun. Yeah, it is really tough. And like, okay, bless him, because he did have some like really bad source material to work with. Like the script wasn't great. But and I think that again is why you need someone a little bit more, you know, in the know of these things. Like, I mean, if you look at Jeremy Irons in both of these movies that we're doing today, in both Eragon and Dungeons and Dragons, the dude can make it work. Like the dude works.
Jeremy Irons knows the assignment.
Dude works really, really hard on his lines, and he nails them, even if they are awful. He completely smashes it, and I love him for it.
Oh, Jeremy. I don't really understand casting John Malkovich as the bad guy. He's like the least threatening looking man in the world.
He's not scary at all. I was so weird seeing him up there and like
line as an evil guy. I'm like, okay, John.
Yeah, calm down. Like his voice doesn't allow for evil. Like maybe maniacal at a push, like a bit psychopathic, but never evil. Like it makes no sense to cast him. Like the guy who played the Shade would have been a better guy for that. Like if they had swapped the roles, that would have kind of made more sense to me. Oh man.
Oh my god.
Oh, goodness me. So what did you actually enjoy about it? Let's move on to what this podcast is about. So is there anything that you can pull out of this? Like what strands?
Baby Saphira, the dragon, was very cute.
Yes, agreed. I actually like the bigger dragon too, to be fair. I thought they did a really good job with the CGI.
Yeah, I mean it was what, early 2000s? Sure, why not?
Yeah, it was all right.
What else did I enjoy? I liked his hunky friend with a tragic backstory later on. I remember reading the book and being like,
Oh.
oh, an angry young man. Okay.
This is always your go-to. Your I can fix him moment. Goodness me. Yeah.
I could though. He hates his dad so much.
Hates him so much. I do think that was a missed opportunity as well, because he is unfortunately in this book he is a far more interesting character, and he's only there at the end, and you're just like, why did you not follow this guy? Let's write about him.
I want to know this guy's story.
Yeah,
and now he helps the dumbass new dragon writer.
Yes. This beautiful himbo who makes no sense.
He just, oh my god, it's you. You're the cool. And you don't know anything about dragons
or fighting or combat.
You didn't even recognize that
politics.
it was a dragon that you had until someone cool.
Yeah,
cool.
okay, we can do this. This is gonna be
I spent my whole life fighting a hellish crusade to defeat my father, but it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, you're the guy who's gonna lead us into battle. This makes sense.
Magic comes really naturally to you. That's awesome, man.
Can we just say
so
as well,
cool,
like,
dude.
this magic system was the easiest thing in the world. Like, there's no feeling or anything behind it. You just say the word in Elvish. And then it's just like, okay, cool, pillow. And then a magical pillow appears and you're happy. Like, it makes no sense. It's great. Oh, could you imagine? How great would that be? Oh, I'd be whispering pillow all the time. Yeah, and he also, like, the evil best friend kind of gave me Breakfast Club vibes. The bad guy from
he definitely
Breakfast
looked
Club.
like him.
Yeah, it was hot. It was, let's follow his story.
Let's just say as well, as someone who was on the internet around the time these books came out, there are a lot of fan fictions about those too.
Of course there is. Why am I not surprised by this? Yeah, I could see that. That could work. I mean, how could you not? You got a himbo blonde boy and a calculating
angry dark-haired boy.
Man.
Oof.
Yeah. Chef's kiss. I will say I do like sort of the bigger names in this story. Like, they did, like, seeing John Malkovich, even though he was a really bad guy in this, it was actually fun to see him doing his thing. Yeah. Jeremy Irons slayed it from start to finish. Gotta love that guy. It was like he was the only one trying in this movie.
Yeah, he was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna act the shit out of this. I don't know.
I think he obviously, after The Lion King, he just chose his projects based on, like, throwing a dart at a dartboard that had scripts in it, because clearly he doesn't need the money.
When I was looking up trivia for Dungeons and Dragons, the top piece of trivia is that Jeremy Irons only did the movie because he had just bought a castle and needed to pay that off more. The rich, they're just like us.
Oh, that's so good. How fantastic. Of course he bought a castle. Like, I'm not surprised by that. Goodness me.
And what better way to pay off your castle than by being in a Dungeons and Dragons movie?
Do you think he actually plays D&D, or do you think he just, like... No.
He's not. He's like cool, but not in that way,
Right. I get you.
So I feel like he probably bullied the kids who played Dungeons and Dragons.
You reckon? I don't know from Jeremy Irons. I don't think he played Dungeons and Dragons, but I think he was definitely like a Magic the Gathering kind of kid. Like, way into his teenage years, he was super into it.
I have weird vibes about Jeremy Irons.
Oh yeah.
Well, so I think I told you I listened to this podcast called the Lolita Podcast, and it's all about like the book, the legacy of the book, because our society sexualizes young girls a lot, and it's gross. So Jeremy Irons was in the Lolita movie.
Right. Okay.
The Adrian Lyne one, in the 90s, I think.
Right.
And yeah, he said some problematic things, really defending his being in the movie.
That's not
so
great.
Like,
okay. Take him.
I'm not saying like he's like canceled. I hesitate to like love him.
Right. I get you. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Take him with a grain of salt, because yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, fair enough. I mean, let's move on to a scene that could have saved it, because honestly, with this one, it's just it's bad on bad with more bad. It's like tough. It's so tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my scene that could have saved it, right, is like Eragon has to pay some sort of price, and I understand he
Yes.
loses 2 father figures
Yeah.
within this movie, right? But it's purely out of his own stupidity both times.
Yes.
And he still like nails magic or whatever. And like what I'm saying when he has to pay a price is not like, oh, he has to lose his father figure because he was a big dum-dum. Like, sure, it was avoidable, but sure.
Yeah.
But more like you can't just learn magic. And they're like,
No.
oh, you're really tired afterwards. Like, okay, cool. So you can do magic, but he has to take a nap. Oh no. What
what
cost?
terrible things. Yeah.
I don't know. I would have liked a sequence where he, has to learn something or struggle at something for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he tries his hand at everything, does a little bit of a bad job, and then immediately learns to do it good again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what is the point of this? This is, there is no struggle here. You're absolutely right. And so there is no real character growth. I mean, yeah,
like, he doesn't really have to grow much at all.
No,
like, he's
even
still kind of an arrogant asshole by the end. Like, it pays off for him every time, except you know his father figure died, but he doesn't seem to think that's his fault.
No, not at all. Even though it clearly was. And I mean, if you look at the character arc, like the final act where he heals the dragon is supposed to be his like big fucking, sort of glory moment where he's being like super selfless, but it's really not, because he tried to do that with Jeremy Irons' character and like heal him, failed to do that, and then he's just doing it again, even though like
he's like, I'm just gonna try harder this time.
Yeah, exactly. Like the dragon's like, nah, don't do it, bro. Like you're gonna die. But instead he's just like, nah, I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want again. Yeah. So like he doesn't learn anything, and essentially what he does learn is that he can just do whatever he wants, and it will sometimes, if not all the time, work out for him in the best way.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. He needed more character growth, and I think that also like sort of lends to my scene that could have saved it, in the fact like he just needs to pick a lane. As I said during the synopsis and everything, he's half the overconfident hero who doesn't get his pegs shot down at all, and he's also the reluctant hero in that he doesn't want to do this, but you can't be both. Like, I just want him to be one or the other. And then like I think with this movie, like with the final battle and he has to lead the army into battle, it would have made more sense for him to be the reluctant hero, because now he has to be the leader.
For sure. And he's a farm boy. Like, what business does he have, actually?
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant, fantastic story. And they just like missed it by just trying to throw way too much into it, and it was just like, can't deal with it.
I have to think that there's like some director error in there as well, because it's very much how the actor plays the lines.
Yeah, definitely.
And a good director would have picked a fucking lane.
Yeah, so much so. Definitely. Oh, well, what a shame. Not every fantasy can do well, but yeah. So tell me, would you watch it again? I know the answer, but
no, I wouldn't. I mean, I feel like maybe it deserves to have another crack taken at it. Like the books were wildly popular.
Yeah, hugely so.
It's very standard hero's journey stuff, but like it's fun. It's got some cool elements. The world building is fine.
Right.
So I'd be interested if like Netflix or whatever decided to, try again, make a series out of it, give the source material like it's due. I'd be interested in that, even if they just like marketed it as like a YA thing,
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. And I mean, I completely would never watch this again, ever. But I am interested in reading the books, because I mean, in theory, like the actual story is actually quite interesting. Dragons and the last 2 dragons. I know there are multiple, like there are books, there are 4 books in this, and they each have a different cover with a different dragon, so it kind of reveals that there are more than 2 dragons. But even so, like I'm still really excited to take a crack at these books, and just see what they're about. It seems
I think I got
an interesting concept.
Halfway through the second one.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
And then I got bored because he was just training a lot, and it's like, okay, there's a way to handle this though.
Yeah, that's true. That's very, very true. And that's coming from someone who has read all of the Game of Thrones books, which are fucking hell.
All of Bran's fucking chapters.
Oh my god, all the food chapters. Like, you and I love food, but good lord, can we just not?
George.
Like, I don't need to know which vineyard this wine is from and what. Let's not fucking describe the vineyard, please.
No, it's very important. It comes in later when they're talking about diplomatic ties with this. I think you'll find, Chad, it's actually critical.
Well, actually.
Anyway, that's why the next book is still not out.
Yeah, of course. He's still.
He needs to think about the
describing
implications of
banquets.
that bread that he mentioned.
Exactly. He's got to go back to every single book and see, how the effects of the books has affected the granaries in each aisle and like their production during that year. Obviously, I'm such a dummy dum-dum for not even realizing that. Fuck. Well, okay, now let's spend a good hour just fanboying and fangirling about D&D, because I thought I was going to hate this. I'm pretty sure you thought you were going to hate this, and holy shit, I actually really thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm so glad that you did too.
Oh my god. Okay, let me tell you all about D&D.
Unbelievable.
Okay, I'm trying to think of like best way to put this. On a macro level, okay, what you've got, guys, is a society where mages are considered superior and everyone else can eat dirt. However, Empress Savina, played by Thora Birch, is about to ascend to power, and she's like, hey, what if everyone was equal? And everyone's like, what?
Whoa. Okay, lady.
Most against this is the mage Profion, played by Jeremy Irons. He definitely does not want her ascending to power and disrupting the social hierarchies that he is benefiting from. So, to defeat her, he tries to outmaneuver her in the Senate, basically saying that she has to give up her scepter, her magical scepter, which helps her control golden dragons. He's like, you have to give it up or else you're too powerful or some shit. And she's like, oh no, what do I do? So the one mage, I think it's Asmath.
That sounds about right.
Robert Milano.
Could be. I mean, yeah, if he's credited, it's probably him,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I don't know. He's like, oh no, there's this other rod called the Rod of Sevril, and this actually lets you control red dragons, which are even stronger than gold dragons. So if you get that, then when you give them your scepter, it's cool because you'll have this other backup one. Unfortunately, Profion hears about this, and he's like, okay, I got to get me that rod first. So while this is happening, we also meet Ridley, played by Justin Whalen, and his bestie Snails, played by who else but Marlon Wayans.
So happy to see this guy. Unbelievable work.
The two of them are common thieves who are mad about the social system, but mainly their like idea of solving it is just to keep stealing from the rich, which fair enough. In order to do this, they break into the School of Magic, and they decide they're just going to like lift whatever they find, get the fuck out. Unfortunately, they picked a bad day because the mage, Marina Pretensa, played by Zoe McClellan, catches them in the act. While she's busy threatening to take them to the guards, that's when Profion's right-hand man, Damodar, played by a very poorly made up Bruce Payne, bursts in, kills Asmath, and is like, where the fuck is the scroll? Marina is able to just escape with the scroll and accidentally brings Ridley and Snails along with her. From there, shenanigans ensue. They are desperately trying to track down the rod. They meet friends along the way, including a dwarf, Vildan Vilder, played by Edward Jewsbury. Is that right? Is that the right person? No. Elwood Gutworthy is the dwarf, played by Lee Ehrenberg. And they embark out to find, first of all, the Dragon Eye, which is a stone, and that's the one that's held by Vildan Vilder, played by Edward Jewsbury. Basically, Ridley has to like navigate a maze, and then he gets the eye, and they have to escape. They're basically running all the time from Damodar and his men. They also meet Norda, played by Kristen Wilson. She is an elf spy who was actually sent by the Empress to also get a hold of the rod. So they realize they're on the same side. They keep working together. Snails, unfortunately, gets killed by Damodar. It's very sad. They must carry on, though, because, you know, their quest is noble. And the further they go on, the more Ridley starts believing in the quest. He and Marina fall in love, surprising absolutely nobody. They eventually get the rod, but they're too late. The Empress refused to give up her scepter. She has summoned a bunch of golden dragons to attack people, the rest of the Senate. It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, everyone else essentially, like all of her own
Profion.
people.
Profion manages to get the rod of whatever it's called, Sevril. Profion manages to get the rod of Sevril because Damodar steals it at the last minute. So now there's a dragon fight in the air.
Very good.
Luckily, Ridley shows up to save the day. He fights Profion just enough until the Empress can show up, and she fights Profion, and eventually he gets eaten by a fucking dragon. And then she wins. We cut to several weeks later. Ridley's about to get knighted, and he's at Snails' grave. He's just bidding his friend goodbye, thanking him for all the good times. Then the eye of the dragon stone that he has starts to glow. They all put their hands on it and disappear.
Yeah, and
And that's the end.
yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the great thing about it.
I'm very baffled by this ending, Chad. Do they die?
I think they survive. I think they're going on a quest now, and I think that Snails lives. I think that was the whole point, because like his name is erased from the stone, and everyone like looks at each other like, or could it be?
Okay, so they're not like going to the afterlife to join him.
I mean, that's a good interpretation.
Confused by that ending.
It is very, very confusing ending. I'll give it to you. But in some way, they're going on another adventure, I think, and you know, spectral
Isn't death
form.
The greatest adventure of all.
Oh, Simone, who hurt you? So, what is your cliffhanger for this bad boy?
Oh, it's definitely this one. And it's at the very beginning when Jeremy Irons has this, like, I guess, scepter that he's trying to make to try and control a dragon. Just the sounds that he makes, like, he is full on having an orgasm. He overplays this role so well, and it's so fun.
It works fantastically. You would think it would be OTT, but honestly, perfect. It really just like it goes to the ridiculousness of this movie, and it just works beautifully. Yeah. Yes.
I think the thing about this movie is it kind of captures like what makes D&D fun is like
exactly
there are ridiculous characters. Does the dwarf have any character building? No, that is clearly someone being played by someone like me who pitched up, did not do homework, and was like, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I'll just do the thing. Yeah.
No, you're so right. I was swinging axe now. I don't know.
You're so right, and that was the one thing that I wanted to say as well, is the fact that like it is enjoyable because it is like an actual D&D campaign. I mean, you and I used to play D&D all the time, for our listeners who do not know that, and honestly, it never went as nobly as like the Lord of the Rings went. It was always chaotic. We always did dumb shit. And we always just like had the best time. I like that you say we,
like you weren't the main instigator of that.
Look, yes, I was the main instigator, but you guys joined in with my ridiculousness. Sometimes not by force. Sometimes not by force. Most of the time by force, because you had to protect me from doing more stupid shit. Was a good time had by all? Yes. So am I upset about it? No. But yeah, this movie just like encapsulated that. I think they couldn't have picked a better person than a Wayne's brother to really bring that home, right?
Honestly, I really liked Snail. I thought he was super fun. He was so cute. I was really sad when he died because I was like, well, there goes the funniest character in this whole thing.
I was more upset when Snails died than when Brom died in Eragon. Like, I did not care when Brom died. But when Snails dies,
like,
you're just like,
wow. It wasn't the consequences of Eragon's actions.
Oh, no. But yeah, when Snails dies, he does it for a purpose. And it's beautiful. It's so good.
Oh, and the way Ridley falls to his knees on the ground.
If that wasn't great acting, the best acting I've ever seen. Just like angry white man fists.
Did you know also that Marlon Wayans, at the same time as he was filming this, was also filming Requiem for a Dream?
Who was he in an earlier 2000s life?
very different vibes. So he must have just been really switching personalities.
This was clearly his yes year, where he just said
Yeah.
yes to any project that he was given.
Why not?
Fuck it, yeah. Today I'll be a thief in D&D land, fighting a man who has the most spectacular blue lipstick. Shall we talk about him? Because I love him as a character.
He was a great character, but his makeup artist did him so dirty. He has this like foundation that doesn't match his skin tone at all, and you can see exactly where the blending stops on his neck. It is so distracting. I was furious. I was like, everybody else's makeup is fine. What did this poor man do?
He obviously he pissed someone off. It was very clear.
Oh.
But I loved him. Like, him as a character was fantastic. You've got like these little moments where he's like really human and stuff. Like when he's talking to the female mage, and he's just like, he's infected me with this fucking thing, and like he has like a full-on breakdown about it, and then he immediately switches, and you're just like, damn. Do you know that this is a Dungeons and Dragons movie? Like,
he acted
why are
the
you?
Shit out of that.
Yeah, why are you taking this so hard? Why are you doing such a hardcore job at this? This is Dungeons and Dragons, the movie, guy, and I'm so grateful that he did. I really am. Yeah. What else did you enjoy about it?
I loved the maze sequence. That was so fun. That was like pure D&D goodness. It was chef's kiss. You have some thief overlord who's like, yeah, you can have the stone if you pass the maze. And then like all these booby traps, which are so fun when you're actually playing D&D.
Yes.
And there's a time limit, and he has to run, and he has to roll stealth checks and all that fun shit, and observation checks.
Yes.
And he gets through, and the thief's like, haha, I'm gonna take it. It's great. It was peak entertainment. Like I was watching this with Rudy, and we kind of agreed that it starts off a little dodgy, gets really good, and then by the end you're like, wait.
Yeah, I will agree with you there. The ending is a little bit off. Like the whole fight scene with Jeremy Irons, like, why is the female mage so bad at magic? She is a mage, and yet she is so useless, and it makes me so sad.
My question though, okay, so by the time like they have this rod and they're bringing it back, like by that time the time limit for her to like give up her scepter is passed, and she's like, well, I'm just not gonna fucking do that, and you guys can die mad about it. And then they're like, oh, we're really mad, like something must be done. And she was like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna summon some dragons with my scepter that I didn't give you.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, oh. So it's like, okay, so this rod actually only complicated things more. Like she's had the situation under control.
Yes, absolutely. And it was really funny because like Jeremy Irons' character said, like, he says this in the beginning to like one of his evil henchmen. He's like, if she gives up the rod, that's great, because then we remain powerful. If she keeps the rod, well, then it just goes to what I was saying about her trying to like overthrow us. So either way I win. But then it kind of falls apart because she keeps the rod and just fucking destroys them. Which is brilliant, and it kind of backfires on him in that respect, and it's like it was a weird diplomacy move.
It's all very strange because it's like, my guy, like either be like lawful evil and like outmaneuver her politically, or be evil, but like you're trying to do both and it's just fucking you around.
Yeah, he's not pouring all of his energy into one medium, and he just doesn't know what to do with both. Yeah, absolutely. And his poor bodyguard, he's just doing all the work.
Oh,
like
he's trying the most.
Oh, you gotta love him. And then like Jeremy Irons just fucking betrays him and doesn't give a shit at the end. And it's just like, oh, okay, my guy, I'm sorry. I want to give you a big hug and like, you know, smooth that bald head of yours, you beautiful man. Yeah. But yeah, I completely agree. Like, I think we said it at the end of last week's episode where we were saying sort of like, how are they going to make a good D&D movie? Like, how do you take the concept of D&D and make it into a movie? And they nailed it. Like,
you just make a fucking fun quest with cool characters that you meet along the way.
Like, I don't know about you, but I'm probably going to make this into a D&D quest because this is actually badass. Like, you know, This is a pretty cool thing.
I'd maybe
Fix
fix
the
up
ending.
some of the internal inconsistencies.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Fix
Also,
up the ending.
can I just say, when they're at Snail's grave, like they're in a graveyard.
Yeah.
And they've clearly, just won the favor of the Empress, like he's about to be knighted. And the best he can do grave-wise is a rock that he wrote on in chalk. Snails.
Look, he's gotten everything he wants. He doesn't really give a shit about
spring
snails.
for a gravestone, my guy.
No one gives a shit about snails once he's dead. Ridley's got the girl, he's got the power, he's made it. Yeah,
He's
fuck
like, cheers,
snails.
snails.
Snails sacrificed himself, but nah, fuck you, snails.
Oh, snails.
Oh, poor snails. Yeah.
He didn't deserve him.
Oh man, and that scene where Snails is hitting on the elf in the bar as well, just fantastic. And the fact that I think all of that scene was great, but it was encapsulated and just made them more perfect by the fact that the dwarf he pushed someone out the way and then just went bar fight, and everyone just fucking lost their minds. And I thought that was a beautiful thing.
That's just what medieval taverns are like. If you're like, are we brawling?
Can we do it? Yeah.
Just cheeky brawl?
Someone accidentally says fight instead of fright, and then it's just straight onto it, just immediate
disaster.
Fight. Happens so many times.
And that's when you have to call in Patrick Swayze, the #1 bouncer in America.
Oh, she did it, ladies and gentlemen. She brought it back to an earlier
Let's
episode.
bring Patrick Swayze back.
Oh, maybe we can. All we need to do is find the ruby red eye of a dragon, and I guess wish on it.
Would he be like what, a barbarian
elf, because he's quite nimble as well. I know that's a really big
tough. He can really take a hit. Elves have low constitution,
and he would definitely be a chaotic good, because no matter how he does it, throat ripping and everything.
I'm not even sure it's good. I think he would just be chaotic neutral.
That's a good point. You make a really good point.
All he wants is order in the bar. Beyond that, like
nothing else matters. That's what he's paid for. That's what he's come to do, and he will stop at nothing to do it.
Also, can I say that I love that this Empress comes to power, and then you just sort of hear in the distance she makes a speech. She's like, "I now declare you're all equal." Yes. And it's like, okay, but systemically,
yeah, I love it. I think that's
what changes are you making?
I think that's what Abraham Lincoln wanted as well. That's probably what he did as well with the Emancipation Proclamation. He was just like, yeah, you're all equal now, and everything's fine. Yeah, so cool. Nice.
And now that's why we don't have racism anymore.
Why we don't have racism? Yeah, him and Barack Obama. As soon as Barack became president as well, it was over.
Bye racism.
Bye racism. I didn't know this. You said this in your synopsis, and obviously it's said in the movie as well that red dragons are stronger than gold dragons. Yeah. Now, I had to go and look it up because I didn't believe that. I always thought gold dragons were stronger than red dragons. They are of equal strength. Both are strength with a 30 on their strength modifier.
Oh.
So pretty equal fashion there.
Poor showing there, Dungeons and Dragons.
Come on, it's in the Dungeons and Dragons manual. It's not that hard to find. It's under dragons. Simple as that. And I mean, I get that they could get confused. I mean, there are a lot of dragons. You got green dragons,
not to be
copper
confused
dragons,
with wyverns.
Yes. Oh my god. And then what? The little ones, the little dragon.
Oh, the cute little
draconites or something like that. Whatever they're called. I don't know. We fought a bunch of them. Drakes. That's what they're called. Yes, drakes, and we just murdered them. I think that was one of our first campaigns together that we ever did. We just murdered a whole bunch of drakes.
Now I feel bad.
We had to do what we had to do, Simone. It was war.
I don't know. I think next time I'll just have a character that has treats in its bag, and it's like, hey.
You're just a mom,
little
basically.
Spray bottle.
Just do an orc's face, just hey, stop it.
Hey,
come now. Hey.
What are you doing?
Why are we doing this? Yeah, and he's just like,
what kind of behavior is this?
Oh, I'm sorry. Drunk is sorry, and then just trudges off, and you win, and it's brilliant. Yeah, high diplomacy. So scene that could have saved it. Anything for you on this one?
I didn't want Snails to die, and I would if he must die, can we get rid of the end scene? Because I was so confused. Just have him getting
Yeah.
knighted. Like, let's wrap this shit up.
Yeah, it would have been a great if it was like a Star Wars finale, you know, everyone's got their medals and R2D2's there just like being cute and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
exactly.
Yeah, for me, I just would have liked a better ending as well. I feel like that whole thing on the castle top where like they're fighting and no one's really doing anything and it's kind of like a weird ass battle.
That was
Just
rough.
tighten it up. Let's make it like a lot more epic. You know, you've got some really great characters there that could do like a really good fight scene. Yeah, fix it. Yeah. Cool. Would you watch it again?
Maybe.
Ooh.
Sure.
I would
Like-
probably watch this again. Yeah.
It would have to be a very specific occasion.
Right.
But yeah, sure. I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't be like, no, turn it off, put it away. Anytime I can watch Jeremy Irons overact the shit out of something, I'll watch it. Also,
I get
we
you.
forgot to mention that Jimon Hunsu, our boy,
Yes. He
made a
was in
special
Eragon.
appearance in Eragon.
Yes. He was the leader of the Vado, which was very cool.
I
Love
love
him.
that he just signs on to shitty movies and owns it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
man.
That is his brand, and he just nails it every
Like,
time.
and he is a good actor, right? We know because we
Yes.
saw him in Never Back Down, which
Yes.
again was actually a great role for him, and I'll defend that. We saw him in Never Back Down. We saw him in Blood Diamond. He was amazing.
Yes. No, he's objectively a great actor. He just
Yeah.
chooses very poorly. His
He's like,
agent
I just want to be in
is
a
shit.
fantasy setting. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I love wearing fantasy clothes. I like
That's my
pretending to
vibe.
see dragons.
Yeah, perfect. Good on you, bud. You just do
I love
you.
him.
Yeah, he's obviously got a great life. You know, everyone knows him. He's the guy who does fantasy movies and other terrible movies. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, it's got to be a very specific one to watch this film. I think it's got to be a situation where I'm introducing people to D&D. They finally they're really enjoying Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm like, wait, we're gonna take this up to the next level. Bomb on Dungeons and Dragons, blow their freaking minds. Yeah.
And apparently in 2023, there is a new Dungeons and Dragons movie coming out.
Yes. Okay. So
Yes.
keep everything the exact same. Just tighten up the ending, and
Yes.
we're good. Like word
Yes.
for word, beat for beat, keep it the same.
If Marlon Wayans isn't in this one, I will be furious.
Yeah, I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it if he's not in it. If he's not Snails, fuck it. No.
Come on.
I'm not interested.
Ugh.
Ugh. Well, thank you so much for Simone for taking us down this realm. I mean, fantasy
very
action is a genre we haven't done in a while, and I'm really glad you decided to make us do it.
Yeah, I think pretty much since our King Arthur episode, we haven't
Mm-hmm.
really done a lot of fantasy action.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm very happy we went down this road. So tell me then, Simone, what is your gratitude for this week?
My gratitude for this week, Chad. You know what I'm really grateful for is that as veganism and vegetarian
Mhm.
becomes more mainstream, places have gotten a lot better about feeding vegans and vegetarians.
Yes.
I was thinking about when I first moved to Cape Town, 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And how hard it was for me to find places that had not just vegetarian options, but delicious vegetarian options.
Yes.
And for my vegan friend, it was just impossible. She basically couldn't go out to eat anywhere.
Yeah.
And today we met up this morning. We went to a bakery that's entirely vegan.
Incredible.
I had a chicken pot pie and a sausage roll. Sausage,
yeah.
chicken,
Yeah.
quote unquote.
Yeah.
That made my whole heart sing. It was so fucking tasty.
Oh wow.
And then we had vegan donuts, which were also spectacular. And
That's
it's
so
just
cool.
it's so cool. Even in grocery stores now,
Mhm.
the amount of options available to me as protein, as meat substitutes
Yeah.
or plant-based protein, it's
incredible.
wild. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And it's even easier. That means if you're someone who is thinking of fucking around with vegetarianism or veganism, or even just having slightly less meat, the
Mhm.
options out there are so tasty. It's not even hard anymore.
No, exactly. It doesn't taste like sawdust anymore. The progression of it is just, it's astronomical.
Yeah.
You cannot believe how far things have come and how tasty this stuff is now.
So tasty.
I found
Rudy,
this
who is a self-professed meat and potatoes guy, often just doesn't have meat in his meal, and he won't even notice because
No.
the substitutes
The
I've used are
substitutes are
so
good.
delicious.
Yeah, I found this really specific specific kebab meat that is vegan, and honestly, it's better than normal kebab meat. It genuinely, like, I'm having it for dinner tonight, and I'm so fucking excited for it.
Yeah.
It is just so good, and you're so right. Like, I remember you wrote an article for our old website about this and how difficult it was, and like what you would like to see from restaurants going forward. And you know, they've kind of like they've taken that on board in a way. And
I think my article is what actually was the tipping point.
You're the revolution. You started it. You are the Mockingjay of vegetarianism. We can say that. It's canon now. That's the rule.
Oh God. What's your gratitude? You silly man.
I think it's being called a silly man by you makes me just so happy. Honestly, it's I don't know why, but it's come up a couple times this week, and I'm just so happy, and it reminds me of the small joys in life. When you speak to a woman and you compliment her in a dress, and she says thanks, it has pockets. Simone, there is not a joy in this world that is akin or comparable to the look on a woman's face, the joy on a woman's face when she tells you that her dress has pockets.
And she puts her hands in her pockets to show you.
to just exemplify. I mean, I've seen pockets before. I know how they work. But to just show me that you have pockets, the joy on your face that you have pockets in your dress, it will always make me happy. And, you know, whenever I'm feeling sad, I just think about that and the fact that, you know, women are so happy when they have pockets in their dress.
We're
and
so starved for pockets. And especially like in a dress, like you don't expect it in a dress.
No,
and then
exactly.
Like,
what are these things? How crazy.
I can store so many things.
So many things in my pockets, in my person. That's where the things go. You're like a squirrel, and it's great. And that's come up a couple times this week, and I'm just really grateful for those small joys like that. Like that is,
That's
you know,
cute.
you could power a city on the amount of joy that a woman produces when she has pockets.
You really could. Oh my God.
Yeah. So Simone, I have an idea for next week. All right.
Okay.
Get ready for this. Now, there is only one way that I would describe you, okay, as a person, as my friend, as, you know, a confidant and a joy. And that's as a national treasure. So, Simone, we will be doing next week National Treasure 1 and National Treasure 2, Book of Motherfucking Secrets.
I'm so happy right now. I don't want to cry. Yes, I'm thrilled.
I know. I'm so happy about it. When I saw it, I was thinking about it. I don't know what it came up, but I was just like, well, like I want to, let's just see how National Treasure 1 did, because obviously National Treasure 2, it doesn't matter, like it did badly regardless. And I was like, I wanted to see it, and it was like 43%, and I was just overjoyed, unbelievably happy about it. Yes.
Fuck yeah.
So
I'm so glad.
Yes, let's go into some weird conspiracy-based American history with our boy Nicky Cage.
You and me and Nick reunited.
So happy about it. I might reach out to him, see if he wants to come on the podcast. Let's see what happens.
Please. I would die.
We wouldn't be able to say anything. Like, we would just let him talk, and just, that would be it. Like, I don't know what I would do.
I'd cry.
Yeah. So yes, National Treasure 1 and 2.
I'm so happy. I'm so
unbelievable. So thank you guys so much for listening. We really, really do appreciate it. If you're so happy that we're doing National Treasure, please tell us, what other movies would you like to do? We're coming up to 100 episodes pretty soon, so we're thinking of really cool themes to do along with that. So if you have any suggestions, any ideas, please do let us know. And where can they do that, Simone?
They can talk to us on Facebook or Instagram at Fresh Tomatoes Podcast, on Twitter at Fresh Tomatoes MP. They can email us at freshtomatoespodcast@gmail.com. They can also hang out with us on the Robots Radio Discord. Guys, our 100th episode is coming up, and we need ideas.
Yes, so please do drop them down. We love to hear from you guys, and you guys always come up with the best ideas. So I am really, really excited. And there you have it. And as we say at the end of every episode, we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Goodbye.
Bye.